Gather round, witches and warlocks, creatures of the night. The moon is full and the air is crisp, and the cauldron is bubbling with all things spooky.
From the spellbinding sisters of Hocus Pocus to the sultry vamps of True Blood.
It's okay.
We're lighting the black flame candle and diving headfirst into our favorite fall rituals.
Whether you're summoning spirits in the Halloween town graveyard or hunting the living dead with Buffy, this is the season to embrace the strange, the unusual.
So dust off your broomsticks, raise your goblets, and join us for a frightfully good time. Spooky season has arrived and it's time to play. Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to Once More Unhinged, our weekly spooky chat show where we get together to discuss whatever we're spellbinding, whatever we're cursing, and whatever we're hexing this week.
Yes.
I'm Jen Katz.
And I'm the warlock Ryan.
Ooh. It's spooky season, you guys.
It is spooky season, if you couldn't tell.
So exciting. I love this time of year. Fall is my favorite season. And my birthday's in November. Yours is in October.
It is. Scorpios.
Scorpio season, spooky season. This is where I thrive.
We did it.
We did it, Joe. We're here.
We are here. We are celebrating spooky season today with some of our iconic films and shows that we love to watch this time of year.
So this time of year, as I mentioned, is my favorite. And there are so many movies and TV shows and books and songs that really just get me in the mood for spooky season.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
That's a whole other podcast. So
it's a whole other list of films, folks. Or is it?
I don't know. Listening to Max refer to boobs as yabos really gets me going.
Yes. Yabos, Max?
He loves them. Okay, sorry. All right.
He loves hers.
He does love her yabos.
Yeah.
Okay, we should stop.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Thanks, Disney.
Yeah.
It is autumn. It is spooky season.
You're right. It's spooky season.
We don't have to wait till October 1st.
You're right. My children have already
construct.
decorated for Halloween.
I'm in.
Yeah. So we were very excited to do this episode to talk about our favorite spooky films, TV shows, all the things. So
let's start with some of
it.
the iconic witch films and shows.
Yes.
And we have to start with our favorite.
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. I love this film. It came out in 1993.
The Sanderson sisters.
The Sanderson sisters.
And Billy.
Billy. Oh my gosh. Zachary Binks. Oh gosh. Yeah, this movie came out when I was 3. And I remember.
Okay. Goodbye.
Let's get you to bed, Grandpa.
I forgot to take my tapioca. Thanks for the reminder.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
But I remember watching this probably by 4 or 5 I had seen.
Oh my gosh.
Hocus Pocus. Yeah. And watch it every year. I mean, I grew up in the Disney Channel era, so it was always on Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And then when I had kids, I was so excited to watch it with them. Yes, there's discussion of virginity. Yes, there is discussion of yabos. There has been fast forwarding. Okay.
There
one
has.
come for me in my parenting. We don't get into that part, but it's now a tradition. My 6-year-old this year was telling our recent babysitter, it's almost October 1st. And every October 1st, we sit down as a family and we watch Hocus Pocus and drink hot chocolate.
It's become a cult classic.
Absolutely.
And it has a all-star cast.
All-star cast.
Bette Midler.
Peak Bette Midler. She was phenomenal.
This is it.
This is it. Yeah.
No one did it better than she did. She was like the best witch. Sarah Jessica Parker.
Kathy Najimy.
Love Sarah Jessica Parker when she's riding the broom. She's like, "Come, little children, I'll take you away.
Creepy.
Into my garden of magic."
Yeah.
Oh, magic. Yes, of course. Gary Marshall, Penny Marshall have cameo appearances as the devil and Medusa, like Lady Medusa or something like that.
Well, they think he's the devil because he's like, master, and it's just he's dressed in a devil costume.
It's great comedy.
It's hysterical. That scene
is so good.
Okay, party's over. Yeah. She's like kicking everybody out. So funny.
And I feel like this was peak filmmaking too, because you're not getting all the CGI.
No, it's a lot of practical
You're still getting
effects.
practical special effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a great movie. And like I said, I've watched it. I'm 33 now, almost 34. I've been watching it almost 30 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Holy moly.
So good. Love the dance scene.
I put a spell on you.
And now you're mine.
And it was strong. So strong. So
Can't
strong.
Stop the
so
things
strong.
I do.
Yeah, that's a cool.
Killed it.
They
took a classic and made it this Halloween favorite.
It's a great movie.
I love it.
And I have to do this.
Do it.
Little crossover with our Once More podcast.
Oh,
we're reviewing Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 2.
We are.
The character of Ice, Ice in Hocus Pocus. You know who that is?
The shoes.
That's Larry from Buffy.
Oh, is it?
That's the jock Larry who Xander outs.
Yeah.
That's Larry. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, Larry Bagby.
Wow.
Larry Bagby the third is the actor's name.
It's so good. And it's just a classic story too. Like kid moves from LA,
from California
to Salem,
Hollywood.
It's fall. Like you get the full vibes of everything here. It's great storytelling. It's a cult classic. We love it.
I would also be remiss if I didn't do the other Buffy crossover, which is Doug Jones, who plays Billy.
Billy Bones.
Billy Bones. He will play he's like a monster actor, a creature actor. He's very well known for playing one of the gentlemen in season 4 of Buffy, the episode Hush, the main gentleman. Yeah.
There's a bit of a homage to that character in the Disney Marvel series, Agatha.
It was Agatha all along.
So you have to wait and see that. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone.
Oh, the stitching of the mouth.
Love the stitching of the mouth. Okay.
Yeah. Love Hocus Pocus. I think it's, like you said, it's a cult classic. It's if you haven't just sat down and watched Hocus Pocus ever, or just it's been a while, do yourself a favor, do it. It's great.
And speaking of witches, one of our other favorites, another cult classic now, Practical Magic.
Practical Magic.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Cozy autumn aesthetic and
I want to live in that house.
East Coast vibes, witchy vibes. All-star cast. Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman, Diane Wiest,
Stalker Channing. Who's always Rizzo to me.
Things I could do. Then go with a witch or two. Anyway, so good.
Love her.
Aidan Quinn and Goran Visnik. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
I hope so. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. But I mean, handsome fella. Both of them.
That movie I want to put into the bisexual pantheon.
Done.
It is up there with The Mummy.
We need a bisexual pantheon list that we just add things to the wall.
It's going to be like covered. This whole room will be covered. The studio will be covered in the bisexual.
What if I just like cover myself in like tattoos? The bisexual pantheon can be my tattoos like everywhere.
That could be cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I love that movie. Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock are just stunning.
Peak.
Nicole Kidman's hair, it just
when she does that dance by the pool.
Come on.
She's like living her best life.
I'm telling you, bisexual pantheon. Put it up there.
Watch out, ladies. Hold on to your husbands.
I love it.
So good.
There was like this run of time for me in the 90s and 2000s where there was lots of films with sisters, and I grew up in the Mary Kate and Ashley era, right? Oh. So I know we're zigging. Double Toil and Trouble was a great Mary Kate and Ashley movie if you're looking for a spooky one. There's always the two sisters, the one that's like a little wild, she's the free spirit, and then there's like the steady
sister, right?
The one that follows the rules. And that I loved that story.
Great
and that's
dynamic.
One of the reasons I loved Practical Magic. I wanted to be Nicole Kidman. I was definitely a Nicole Kidman.
I love the aunts. I am a fan of a story where you've got the aunts living together.
Aunts, yeah.
The kooky aunts. I mean, it takes me back to the Cary Grant film Arsenic and Old Lace, where you have the two aunts that are living together and they're just like
love it.
But these two, I mean, they're just phenomenal and they play these parts so well.
I love it. I read the book for the first time last year.
They put the lime in the coconut and then the secrets come out and all shit hits the fan. Loved it.
So good.
Such a great film. Amazing soundtrack.
It really is. I read the book for the first time. It's really good. If you've not read the book Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman will also get you in a spooky mood. It's very different from the movie in a lot of ways. Not in a bad, not in a good way. It's just different. And it's Alice Hoffman's one of my favorite authors. So
I love that they
check it
just
out.
really hit the aesthetic and the vibe for this time of year without being overboard on like the creepy or the spooky or the, like the gore or the graphic.
Yeah.
It's like you just get the point. There's a beautiful love story woven throughout this entire movie.
Yeah.
Great casting, great soundtrack. Check.
Do it.
Jump off the roof at the end. It's so great. Okay, can't talk about witches without talking about the Witches of Eastwick.
It has been so long since I've seen this movie.
Talk about star power.
Your mother loves this movie, right?
I love this movie.
I haven't seen it in so long. I know. Cher.
Peak Cher. Okay. And I mean, Cher is constantly peaking, but this is peak Cher in the 80s. Late 80s. This is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Who I love.
Peak Michelle Pfeiffer. Susan Sarandon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They come together. Jack Nicholson is the devil.
That's right. Gosh, it's been so long since I've seen this.
He manipulates all three of them, and then they end up getting the best of him. What an incredible movie. Okay. May not quite hold up the way that I thought it did when it first came out, but having all of these characters together on screen at the same time, acting out this devil and three witches, it's fantastic.
It's great.
Dark comedy, supernatural elements. You're going to love it.
Yeah. I'm going to put it on my list because, like I said, I haven't seen this movie in a very long time.
That would be something not for your girls to watch, but for the adults. It would be fun.
Adult Swim.
Okay. Let's talk about some vamps.
I love vampires. As you all know, if you haven't figured it out, I love vampires. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one of my favorite shows. Ryan and I met around the time True Blood was very, very popular.
Suki.
We bonded over our love of True Blood.
Oh, yeah. Over Suki, over Eric Northman, over Bill Compton.
Bisexual Pantheon, add it to the list.
It's on it.
It's on. I mean.
And it's got everything. It's got fairies,
witches,
vampires, witches,
werewolves, shifters.
This is the first time that shifters really got mainstream, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I love True Blood show. Yeah.
The opening theme is to this day is still one of my favorite opening songs.
When you came in, the air went out.
Yeah, I Want to Do Bad Things to You by Jace Everett.
Yeah.
I want to do real bad things with you. It's so good, and it's Southern Gothic. It's creepy. It's set in Bon Ton, Louisiana.
The mood. Okay, so went to school in Baton Rouge.
You did.
Lived in South Central Louisiana, and let me tell you, at night when it gets dark and the fog rolls in off of the river, it is that.
I love it.
They nailed the setting, and I actually think that they shot it in Louisiana, so it fits.
They shot some in Louisiana and some in LA.
It was great.
But they did a really good job of making it feel.
They did. Yeah. And if you've ever been to like one of those backwoods kind of dive bars like that in Louisiana, like you totally get that vibe. Like Louisiana just has a vibe. You've been to New Orleans, you know what it gets like when the sun goes down.
There's an energy. There are spirits. There are things that aren't quite human, I feel. It's True Blood it gets a little unhinged at the end of its run, but the first episode of True Blood is fucking phenomenal.
It's great. The first season of True Blood, I think, is really phenomenal. Speaking of Louisiana, there's another film. It's The Skeleton Key, and it stars.
I love that movie. Kate Hudson. Yeah, it's great.
Skeleton Key. Add that to the list. Okay. We talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Fridays. We are on season 2.
Love it. We just did Passion and Killed by Death.
So we have to put Buffy on the list. If you want to hear us talk more about Buffy, switch over to our Once More rewatch podcast, and we'll break down all the Buffy elements for you, but add it to your Halloween spooky list.
I would say if you're not going to get into all of Buffy, I think you should, as Ryan said. 2 episodes I always like to watch around Halloween are the season 2 episode Halloween, where they all get transformed into their costumes. It's a great episode.
Great.
When I say transformed in their costumes, they literally become what they are dressed as.
Yeah.
And then season 4 episode Hush.
Listen,
creepy.
It's my favorite episode of the entire series that I've seen so far.
Yeah, you haven't seen season 6 and 7, but Hush is so good.
Well done. Give them all the awards. Okay. My favorite vampire film is Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman
Yeah.
as Dracula. No one can transform into a character like Gary Oldman. I'm sorry. Very few people can. Gary Oldman is the GOAT when it comes to that.
He is.
His Dracula, his voice,
The voice is
the way
terrifying.
he holds himself, the makeup that they put him in, and
Yeah.
all of these different elements, because you get to see Dracula in his castle, and you also get to see Dracula transform into the mid 1800s, Englishman in London who's wooing Winona Ryder,
and
from
Keanu Reeves.
Anthony Hopkins playing Dr. Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
This is a phenomenal film. It was showered with accolades at the time. A brilliant soundtrack. Do not sleep on this film. If you need to see something dark, spooky, and filmed very well, Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's such it is a dark, compelling love story with all the horror and ghoul elements that you could want from a vampire movie.
It's great. That's another one I haven't seen in a long time because I remember watching it as a child and being terrified. So
it's hot.
It's a great movie. I'll add it to my list to rewatch because I love it.
Speaking of rewatching things, we were both watching the new series, AMC Plus series, Interview with a Vampire.
Y'all run, do not walk. I slept on this mainly because I didn't have AMC, so I didn't watch it.
You sent me a text message yesterday that was like, Tom Cruise who?
Never heard of her.
Sam Reed's Lestat.
He is Lestat. Sam Reed is Lestat de Leoncourt, and I will hear no argument.
Okay. Bisexual pantheon, I got to put it up there for that too.
Slap it up there because...
Slap it wherever you want to. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, his Lestat is hot.
His Lestat is so interesting.
It's delicious.
The film, the 90s film with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and Kirsten Dunst, who I think is great as Claudia in that movie.
I can't with the makeup and the wigs and that.
It won't hold up.
Way too much.
It's too much. They danced around
a lot
the queerness of Anne Rice's source material because it was the 90s, and God forbid you have A-list actors in a gay queer story. No. This is queer as hell, hella gay. It's so good, and we're not going to spoil like a lot of the big beats. This is stuff that's already out there. We will
do a separate Unhinged episode about Interview with a Vampire, but put it on your list of things to watch during spooky season
because it's dark, it's creepy, it's scary, and I'm not a big horror person. So spoilers for this list: you're not going to see, for me at least, like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, like slasher flicks. Not for me. I like this kind of creepy. And this, you talked about, True Blood on location. This was filmed. Season 1 is in New Orleans.
And it's great.
It's so good.
They do such a good job. So we love the show. Go watch it.
Please.
Okay, we cannot talk about Interview with a Vampire Anne Rice without talking about Queen of the Damned.
Aaliyah, may her memory be a blessing.
Listen, I rewatched this over the weekend.
You did.
Feeling saucy. It was the fall equinox. And I was like, hey, I need a good little vamp movie.
Her costume in that movie.
Listen, her entire aesthetic, the way she carries herself as Akasha, the Queen of the Damned, is phenomenal. You believe it. Like, you think that she's been resurrected and is just starring in this film. It's respectfully, she is a beautiful individual.
Stunning.
Her allure as this vampire, this ancient vampire goddess is phenomenal. You also get the whole Lestat of it all. Listen, this movie certainly has its like question mark elements. and Anne Rice actually, kind of protested that they moved forward with this film, but the studios did. They changed a bit of the story. So they went straight from Interview with the Vampire to him coming back as a rock star. But it is beautifully shot.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is just dark and edgy. And there's just this great, beautiful story between Lestat and, Akasha coming back. Well, if you're feeling nostalgic, you want to go back to the late 1990s where things were a little goth and grunge, this is a great Halloween film for you, or a spooky season film for you. And
it's even more like sad watching how good Aaliyah is in that, because you feel like, man, she could have been a just phenomenal actor.
This was her last film.
I know. Sad.
It was sad. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some classic Halloween family films.
I mean, this is my era, so let's do it.
This is it for me. Like this is It's a Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown is classic.
My husband loves this.
This soundtrack, it is just heartwarming. It's tradition for so many families, and I will watch it every year no matter how old I am.
It's great.
I have to put it on the list. One of the other ones that I was thinking about while we were getting started with this is the skeleton dance from the Silly Symphonies that Disney did, 1929.
So it's
this great little skeleton routine. I think you can YouTube it. Just go check it out. Okay.
Casper. Sorry, I got to do it.
Put it in there.
Casper is probably also my bisexual pantheon.
You're talking of the live action.
Yes, excuse me. The live action starring Devon Sawa, Christina Ricci. Her dad's played by Bill Pullman. And it's a great, spooky kind of movie. Like Hocus Pocus. Kid moves into a new house. Christina Ricci's mother has passed away. Everybody's sad. And the house is inhabited by Casper, the friendly ghost.
Yeah,
and
it's haunted.
It's haunted. It's a great movie from the 90s. I loved it as a kid. I haven't watched it yet since I've had my own children. Maybe I will this year. But
give us the iconic line.
Can I keep you? Devon Sawa. You want to talk about
good
90s heartthrobs. JTT step aside for Devon Sawa. He was hot. And he had the buttercrust hair like nobody's business.
He did. Hey, it was the haircut of the times.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Okay, speaking of nostalgia.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Okay, we got to talk about the Addams Family.
Yes, we sure do.
Great TV show.
I used to watch it on Nick at Night when I was a kid.
Loved it. Morticia Addams.
Creepy.
I mean, they're kooky, come on,
mysterious and spooky.
She had it going on.
She did.
Then we get the remake in the 90s that came out with All-Star Cast.
Also Christina Ricci.
Also as Christina. Oh yeah, young Christina Ricci.
Also Wednesday Addams.
Angelica Houston.
Christopher Lloyd as Uncle Fester. It's Angelica Houston. Who played Gomez?
Raul Julia as Gomez
I
Addams.
had such a crush on him. He was so suave.
His chemistry with Angelica Houston, when they both get into these parts, and they are actors that love to get into the part, they got into this role, and it was so iconic.
Joan Cusack, who marries Uncle Fester.
Okay, that's the second one, right? Or is that the first one?
I can't remember, but there was a series.
I think there's like 3 of them back to back, and the first 2 were really funny as hell.
And another Buffy crossover, Mercedes McNabb, who plays Harmony, is the little girl with the braids at camp. At camp? Yeah, she's the one Wednesday gets into it with.
It's so good.
So good.
Those films certainly still hold up.
I love it.
MC Hammer doing the Addams dance.
Oh fuck!
They do what they want to do, say what they want to say, live how they want to live, play how they want to play, dance how they want to dance, thinking they struggle free. The Addams Family. Wow, I got it.
Nailed it.
90s hip hop right here, folks.
I've been thinking about that a lot because my kids at school, they have the days of the week. They do learn the days of the week based off that theme. So I think about the Addams Family a lot in my household.
Check it out. Put it on your list.
The next film is pretty relevant.
It is right now.
Because the sequel was just released.
It was.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Ah! Yeah. Beetlejuice, the original Beetlejuice, starring Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin. What more could we say?
Excuse me. You're forgetting the iconic Catherine O'Hara.
Oh, God. Yes. Sorry. Thank you.
As the mom.
She's amazing.
Yeah, all-star cast. Great film. Tim Burton.
Yes.
Yeah. Comedy, horror,
all practical effects, right? Like it's amazing.
All practical effects. So perfect setting. This is at the top of the spooky season list for sure.
I need to watch this. I think my kid, the girl's probably too young. I really want to rewatch it, but I haven't seen the second Beetlejuice. You have.
Yes.
Are you just going to leave that?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Tight.
Check it out.
Woo.
Okay. Let's get into some creepy classics and some cult favorites.
Oh, yes. The Craft.
I
love The Craft.
Talk about dark 90s gothic. Like,
sheesh.
Yeah. Grunge. This is it. So this was like, when I see movies that come out like Mean Girls, I immediately go back to movies like The Craft, where you have the teenage witchy, like power and revenge film.
So great. The cover of I can picture the VHS in the movie poster. It's the 4 of them
iconic
walking.
Image.
There's lightning in the background. They all have the black and the white. I
iconic.
Wanted that whole aesthetic. I try to recreate
it. Yeah, no. Almost every day.
Look like I'm in Jailhouse Rock, but that's fine.
Warding through a party in your library. Okay.
So I love this film. Fairuza Balk is the lead as Nancy, and she is terrifying. We've got Neve Campbell, Skeet Ulrich is in this movie. It's just Christine Taylor, I think, is Laura. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I'll leave it at that.
It's a great movie. I need to I'm like creating my own rewatch list as we speak.
Yeah, it's good. I hope you're creating a rewatch list based upon these recommendations as well. Okay. One of my absolute favorites is Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp and
Christina
Ricci again.
She's a repeat offender on this list. I love it.
Love her. Also,
she's great in that film.
Stock full of famous character actors who play all of the main characters in this film. This is dark. This is spooky. Tim Burton nails.
The costuming is beautiful.
The autumn, upstate New York time period aesthetic. It's great, and the story holds up. You know, he paid homage to Disney's classic, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. But where you have
Ichabod Crane,
you know, the long, lanky cartoon character.
I loved that.
There is a moment where he's crossing the bridge at night, and he's scared. He's on his little horse, and you can hear the toads. I love Disney. You can hear the toads. The toads are creaking. They're going, Ichabod, Ichabod, Ichabod.
Ooh, see, I'm getting
And Tim Burton does this in the live action remake where Johnny Depp's getting ready to cross the bridge, and of course you can hear the toads, and it's very subtle, but you can hear him, Ichabod, Ichabod.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just love how he paid homage to that film.
I do too.
I love Sleepy Hollow. It is at the top of my list. When I carve my pumpkins every year, my jack-o'-lantern looks like the jack-o'-lantern that is in the field.
That's right.
At the beginning of the film. Christopher Walken, come on.
It's a great movie.
Classic film. Gotta watch it. Okay, one for the kiddies.
Halloween Town. So this was, again, in my era of the Disney Channel original movies. This film is so great. I watched it last year with my kids. First time I'd seen it in a long time.
Debbie Reynolds, right?
Debbie Reynolds as the head of the Carmichael witch family.
So good.
It's so great. It's a, girl who lives in the real world. Her mom is scared of witchcraft, but she's super interested in witches. They can't celebrate Halloween. Debbie Reynolds is her grandmother, and they go to Halloween Town and they learn that they're magical, and it's so fun. It's great. They have to, thwart an evil warlock named Calabar, and Calabar is such a great name. I think someone calls him Chocolate Bar at one point as an insult. It's great. Yeah, that's a good one for kids. It's on Disney Plus, so check it out.
So good. Next up, we have favorites of mine as a kid, which was Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you talk. I don't like those movies, so I'll let you talk about them.
Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd came up with these films. Harold Ramis, may he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Sigourney Weaver.
She's great.
Rick Moranis.
I do love him.
Annie Potts, Ernie Hudson, all-star cast. Just a phenomenal ghost, fun 80s film. The sequel is one of those, usually a sequel, you're like, this sequel holds up. So Ghostbusters 2, as good and arguably in some circles better than the first. But this is no notes, hands down, classic cult favorite. Got to check it out. Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I mean, the soundtrack.
Soundtrack's amazing.
Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Was there something wrong?
Ghostbusters.
And it don't look good? Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Okay.
I love this next one again. It's very nostalgic for me, and I feel like it's a subject of quite a heated debate.
What is it?
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, this is not a Halloween movie.
By Tim Burton.
I'm joking. It is.
No, I mean, I think it could qualify as either a Halloween or a Christmas movie because
it's both.
It's both.
And how brilliant is that? They
live in Halloween land. Like, it's Jack Skellington. I love this movie.
Tim Burton again nails it with the spooky vibe. Always.
Oogie boogie man. Yeah, it's very spooky. It's Halloween, it's Christmas. I love this movie. I really, really want to watch it.
Good soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack.
Okay, let's get into some horror comedy. Okay. I stumbled upon Shaun of the Dead. It was airing on some network. I can't remember what it was, but it's a 2004 hilarious British comedy film Stars Simon Pegg and
I
Nick
do love
Frost.
him. Yeah.
They're a great little comedy duo when they get together and they do these just kind of like off the wall films. It is about a guy, Ed, and his best friend, Sean, who have to like navigate chaos when they realize that like the zombie apocalypse has hit. And they're just in this great little kind of small, English town.
Yeah.
They're drinking at a pub when they start realizing that people are just acting a little strange. And then they end up having to like make their way across town. They run into all these like crazy kooky characters along the way. It is fun. It's hilarious. It's got the zombie element, but in a very like camp, poke, nod, wink way. And it's just a good feel good story about how these two best friends like work together to like make their way and confess their love and bromance for one another. It's great. It's a fun film, so put it on your list if you're looking for a fun kind of kooky, not so scary and dark film. Now
this next one though,
your favorite,
I love it,
and one that I remember seeing with you at a drive-in on your birthday a few years ago.
30th birthday.
That was a lot of fun. Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I love Rocky Horror Picture Show.
What can we say that hasn't been said already?
It's a cult classic. It's
Susan Sarandon, Tim Curry.
It's who plays Brad? What's his name?
Brad.
Janet.
Damn it, Janet.
Dr. Scott. So yeah, this cast is just fucking phenomenal. Tim Curry is Dr. Frankenfurter.
Come on.
The man can wear a corset.
How do we not put Clue on this list? Anyway, go ahead.
Oh gosh. Another Buffy crossover. Anthony Stewart Head, who plays Giles, played Frankenfurter in a West End production of Rocky Horror.
I want to see that.
I'll show you the YouTube. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
And we've got Susan Sarandon as Janet. Damn it, Janet. I love you. Barry Bostwick as Brad. Janet. Dr. Scott. Meatloaf plays Eddie.
Oh, I forgot about Meatloaf.
It's so good. Patricia Quinn is Magenta. I mean, the film it's a musical. It's cheeky. It's progressive. It's dark in a lot of ways. I love it. I watch it every year. I love it.
So good. No notes.
No.
Check it out.
Notes. Yeah.
Great musical. Maybe we'll put that on for you. We'll just do like a 2-person like version of
on our Patreon. You can pay for that.
You can pay for it.
Yeah.
You can also just hire us for your production. Okay.
Here we go. And another comedy.
Love it.
Young Frankenstein, directed by Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
Love him.
Written by Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder. Come on. All-star cast. Madeline fucking Kahn. I mean, everyone in this film is great. It even has Gene Hackman playing the blind old man. It is so good. There are so many iconic moments from this film, fully black and white. This was a pun on the classic horror film. They were in that era where Mel Brooks was making all of these parodies.
He's great.
So classic comedy. This is the scene where they do Put on the Ritz.
Oh my God.
Which was almost not in the film. There's a whole story. You can check it out on YouTube and TikTok and others where they had to fight for this scene, and it ended up being the most iconic scene from the film, where you have the monster on stage with Gene Wilder, and he's like
tap dancing.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion fits?
Putting on the Ritz. It's so ridiculous.
It is so great. Love this film. When they arrive, Terry Garr and they where Igor has taken the luggage and Dr. Frankenstein, and
it's Frankenstein,
and they hit the door, and he says, "What knockers?" And Terry Garr, thank you, doctor. I mean, it was just like one after another, another, from start to finish. You will laugh if you've not seen this. Run. Don't walk. This is classic. This should be at the very top.
Here we go.
Let's get into some monsters.
Ooh, love this.
We love The Wolfman.
The Wolfman, starring Benicio del Toro, who I love. Benicio, love
Anthony Hopkins, who I love. Tony, love you, buddy. Emily Blunt and Hugo Weaving.
Such a great cast.
Listen.
Love that movie.
I understand the critics.
Yeah,
but I also see this film for what it was. And wow, did they ever film this in a beautiful location?
Oh, it's stunning.
The cinematography is great. They get into the whole Romani element of it all.
Yes.
You know, there's like an actual like backstory as to what happens. So there's like thrilling moments.
Yeah.
There are dark moments. There's a love story. There's it has everything.
He does such a brilliant job of being this tortured individual. Benicio del Toro, he's just it's a great. I'm with you. I understand some of the critiques of that film. It's not a perfect film, but it gets me in the spooky mood for sure.
I tell you what,
it's very dark.
It certainly will set the mood for a spooky season.
It will. So,
all right, we cannot talk about
the
bisexual board.
Yes,
without talking about one of our favorite films.
We would be bad buys if we did not mention this. The Mummy,
starring
Brendan Fraser. Ever heard of him?
And Rachel
Weisz, who I mean,
this film is credited as being a bisexual awakening for many who saw this in their formative years.
Same. I remember when it came out, it was billed as a terrifying movie, like the sand mummy where its mouth is open.
It was the first mummy movie we got since the cult classics.
Yes. It's great. The chemistry between Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz is off the charts.
Hook.
I need we're gonna do something for you folks. I'm gonna show you a gift a friend of mine gave me for my birthday a few years ago because she knows I'm obsessed with this film and that it like awakened my bisexuality. Pause. Commercial break.
Okay, great.
Okay, Ryan, could you hold us for the people at home,
sorry.
please? Thank you. So I can.
I'll be your Vanna White.
Thank you. So this is a signed photo of Patricia Velasquez, who played Anaxuna Moon in the film.
Hot.
Body paint. Like when she came out, okay, this movie came out in 1999. I probably saw it in 2000 when I was 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I like what I'm seeing here. What does this mean?
What is that feeling?
I also like Brendan Fraser, and I also am very into John Hannah, who plays Evelyn's brother. I mean, Arnold Vosloo, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, who plays the mummy, who plays, Imhotep.
Yeah.
It's a fucking hot movie. It's a good movie. It's scary. It's got the horror elements.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's great.
No, I love this movie.
Great special effects.
Shout out my bestie Callie for this amazing gift. It's on my bisexual wall next to my Harry Styles jewel art that another friend gave me.
Check out The Mummy and check out The Mummy 2.
Love it.
Okay. One of my this is a cult classic.
Oh, I forgot about this one.
This is Monster Creature. This really should have been bumped up to the vampire list here. I should have rearranged it.
It's our podcast, so we can do what we want.
This is The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Okay. This was one of my mother's favorite kind of spooky films.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
we watched this on repeat. 1987 American supernatural dark film directed by Joel Schumacher.
This is a Schumacher film?
This is a Schumacher film.
Didn't realize.
Ensemble cast, y'all.
The
Corey
Coreys.
Feldman, Jamie Gertz.
Sure we say his name right?
Corey Haim, Edward Herman, so good. Bernard Hughes, Jason Patrick.
Who I love. I love Jason Patrick.
Kiefer Sutherland.
He's the bad vampire, right?
He's a dark little vampy.
Yeah.
80s vamp, grunge vamp.
Love it.
Jameson Newlander and Diane Wiest as Mom.
A repeat appearance on this list. Diane Wiest.
Mom's just moved to a new town. Okay. They haven't really met anyone, but she did meet a very nice man at the store and he'd like to take her out on a date. Mom just wants to go out.
Good for her.
But all hell breaks loose because there's vampires in this town.
Typical. Well, I'll be honest. If James Marsters, Sam Reed, or Jacob Anderson, or Eric Northman came a knocking, this mom's answering the call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a fun cult classic. It's grungy. It's dark.
Yeah.
But all-star cast. Phenomenal soundtrack. Anyway,
I don't think I've ever seen The Lost Boys. I just know of it.
Oh my God.
Well, I also haven't seen the next franchise. Okay. I've never seen any of the Scream films.
I'm just going to take over the rest of this show. Scream is an American murder mystery and meta slasher franchise that includes 6 films, 4 of which are directed by Wes Craven, who is very much like a Stephen King, horror.
Horror's his thing.
Wes Craven was Freddy Krueger, right? But it had been years since Freddy and Jason. And so this franchise came out and it took it to a different place where it was very meta. It was very like teenage kids, high school slasher film meets, kind of like group ensemble dynamic. Principal cast: Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, put her on the map, and David Arquette.
Yeah.
This entire franchise was full of notable actors who made cameo appearances, including Drew Barrymore, who did the first scene of the entire series where she gets a call from the Scream face.
Yeah.
And I mean,
is his name Ghostface?
Ghostface.
Yeah.
It's just that sort of suspense and horror to me is more scary than the actual like ghosts and demon kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My girl, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Which one is she in?
She comes back for Scream 2.
Okay.
And she plays this like person who answers the phone, and it's like, oh, who's this?
She gets killed right away. In the second, it starts off, all these films have a formula to them that work. The second one starts off and it's Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she's a sorority gal, and all her girlfriends are going out to party. They're all going to go out to this party, and she's going to stay home and just kind of like keep an eye on the house because someone has to like be there. Don't worry about me. Y'all gonna have fun at the frat party. I'm gonna lock the doors. I'm gonna set the alarm, and the phone Famous
rings.
last words.
And the phone rings. And guess what? She didn't make it.
Yeah.
But this is an iconic film franchise that has now spun off into additional films. There's another one in production right now.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something spooky and scary and like keep you on the edge of your seat and make you kind of jump, this is a great film franchise for spooky season.
So while I haven't seen any of the Screams, I know of them.
Madam.
I know. The horror franchise that I have seen and that I do love is the I Know What You Did Last Summer series.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Come on.
Be still my heart.
Her, Sarah
Always.
Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., Ryan Phillippe.
The married couple.
Yes. Yeah. I believe they met filming this.
I think so. Yeah.
And yesterday, breaking news, Freddie Prinze Jr. officially joined the sequel for I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah. We have not had any other announcements.
Will Jennifer Love Hewitt come back?
I hope so.
She has to. It's her film.
That's a great
franchise.
Slasher film of these teenagers who are holding on to a dark secret.
Yeah.
Some of them feel guilty. Some of them already move on. And the secret comes back to haunt them.
And a whodunit. Like, who is it?
Who is it?
Is it your best friend? Is it the stranger that you met at the dock? We don't know.
Yeah. They're all being tortured and then murdered. And it's a great movie. It's scary. Like I said at kind of the top of the episode, I don't really do slasher. Like I don't like horror, but I loved this film. Maybe because all these 4 people, I love these actors, but I love it. Cool. Love those films.
Okay. An underrated Halloween gem, The Monster Squad.
Yeah.
This is a love letter to classic monsters. The film pays homage to the classic Universal monsters featuring Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Mummy, and the Wolfman and the Gillman, or like the creature from like the lagoon.
Yeah.
These iconic creatures are brought back to life in a way that's kind of scary because they do a great job at like making them, visually, kind of scary for teenagers and young kids. But it's a group of misfits that form a secret club called the Monster Squad.
Yeah.
And they're not your typical heroes. They are determined to protect this town, their hometown, from these evil forces that come to life. Basically, Dracula's come back to life, and in order for him to take over the town, he needs help from his buddies. These kids, it's almost like the Goonies. These kids do everything they can to protect this town from Dracula, and they have a time in which they have to get it done.
Sure.
It is certainly spooky because there are elements of this where you're like, oh my gosh, this is like dark for kind of a kid-focused film, but it is a nostalgic trip for many of my generation, from the 80s babies, from the millennial kids, going back and watching this. I love it. It's so much fun. We were going to talk about Little Shop of Horrors, which is a great, film that's kind of spooky, but that led us to think about songs that kind of invoke spooky season. I know which one you're going to start with. Thriller.
Because this is Thriller.
Michael Jackson.
You just hear the beginning of that song.
The video.
The video is its own horror movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
And it is great. That red jacket that he wears.
You try to scream. Oh, it's so good.
It takes a step before you make it.
Michael Jackson, we're not getting into that conversation. But what I'm going to say about Michael Jackson is something that can't be denied. His talent as a performer.
Oh my gosh.
The dancing in that video.
Oh yeah.
come on. It's so good. And like you said, the jacket and the like
the zombie dance.
The zombie dance.
It is so great.
It's a scary song. It gets me in the mood for Halloween, for spooky season. I love that song.
Nina Simone, I Put a Spell on You.
Oh, I can just hear it in my head
it's
now.
So good.
Her version's my favorite version.
It's just so haunting.
It's so haunting.
And it's just so smooth. You just want to listen to it over and over and over again.
And of course, as mentioned earlier, the Sanderson sisters in Hocus Pocus.
Gotta love that version.
So good. And then, of course, the classic Monster Mash. I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. Yeah, so great.
It's so good.
I love this time of year.
Yeah.
I loved having this conversation with you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for Spooky Season Rundown.
Thank you. Unhinged, spooky.
I am dying to talk about more, but alas, we have to end our discussion.
It was a frightfully good time.
It really was. And if you enjoy these episodes, please be sure to check back on Wednesdays for our latest episode drops. And be sure to check out Once More, a Rewatch podcast that comes out on Fridays, where again, we're discussing Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 2.
Rapidly approaching the end of that season.
I know, but I'm looking forward to Season 3.
Oh, here we go. For more Unhinged content, please follow us on social media. We are at Once More Podcast on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and Threads. And hey, Unhinged is produced by us. I'm Jen Katz.
And I'm Ryan Something. And may your spooky season be filled with tricks and treats and everything eerie.